wife. He already has done and will continue to do so many great things in the future. So without any further ado, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Caleb Allred.
UW class of 25, it's an honor to share a few words, and thank you, Dr. Scharnhorst, for that introduction. Tomorrow marks the end of a significant chapter in the book of our lives. I don't know how much medicine I've learned in these 4 years, but one thing I've become excellent at, like many of you in Whammy Land, it's packing up my entire life into a suitcase every 6 weeks for a new rotation. I wanted to name a few of our collective accomplishments. Tomorrow, between all of us, we'll have approximately 290 MD degrees earned, 81,200 med school credits completed. This will be everyone's favorite, a collective 18,560 cases logged to e-value. I also took the average med student debt and multiplied it by the number of us, and I won't share that number because today is supposed to be a happy day. But what's past is prologue, and what we have to do now is decide what to do with the remaining time that has been given to us. For most of us, this next chapter will include residency, but how will you write that chapter? And at the end of the book you've written, what legacy will you have left? I'd like to share with you 2 experiences from my medical school chapter where I learned about a diagnosis in the classroom, after which a loved one was given that same diagnosis. These experiences shaped my approach to patient care, and my hope is that they may offer you some perspective as you think about the next chapter of your own story. So I too, when I started medical school, I felt like I had to hide parts of myself to fit the mold of this ideal physician. I learned the true value in sharing myself with my patients as I am, as my wife, Catherine, and I anxiously, and I will cry, anxiously awaited the arrival of our second baby, Eleanor. I remember thinking when we learned that gestational viability was about 24 weeks, 25 weeks, I really hope these next 2 weeks go by fast because we were 23 weeks pregnant with my daughter at the time. Sensing the need to see our obstetrician, we made an appointment and quickly learned that Catherine was going into preterm labor. We were airlifted from the Moscow hospital to the Spokane hospital where there was a qualifying NICU, and we were told to expect that our daughter might not survive. Now, that I had some more knowledge, you would think that knowing that there are tocolytics and clinical protocols and these survivability statistics, that might offer some modicum of peace. But in all actuality, as the seconds passed by agonizingly slow, waiting to see what would happen, it was the prayers on our knees, it was the connections with loved ones, including so many of you, and compassion from our providers that ultimately did bring that peace. Our future patients, they do need to trust that we as physicians can provide the standard of care. But it was those moments at Deaconess Hospital where I realized that if my patients needed that humanity, or that if I needed that humanity, compassion, and spirituality, I could provide that for my patients. So as we take on greater autonomy in caring for people as resident physicians, I offer this reminder. There's no one ideal physician. Medicine can't always heal the body, but through your humanity, you can heal the soul. I thank God every day my little girl, can't believe it, she just turned 3. She, William, Margaret, they are my joy. And I'd be remiss in this moment if I didn't take a second to thank my wife, Catherine, for joining me on this journey. She's had unwavering courage in the face of the challenge of starting our family. And I'm grateful for you allowing me the greatest gift of my life, fatherhood. We've made it, and though tomorrow you won't be putting on a cap and gown, you deserve celebrations just as much. Speaking of fatherhood, I had the blessing to be raised by a physician parent. As a kid, when people learned that my father was an OBGYN, the jerk reaction I always got was, well, he must be busy all the time. He must be out delivering a baby. He must be a non-consistent in your life. And that was so far from my reality that I had to stop and wonder why. As I went through medical school and became a parent myself, I came to realize just how busy he was and that his time was limited. So why didn't it feel that way? It was his intentional approach to fatherhood and his intentional approach to love that earned him a position of high esteem in my life. It was an honor to see that professional intentionality in action when I had the privilege of scrubbing into cases with him on rotation as an MS3. But with our neural block fresh in mind, I began noticing subtle signs and symptoms of a neurological disorder that I hadn't seen in my father before. Fasciculations, fatigue, weakness. Please God, like so many UWorld questions I've missed before, please tell me I'm misinterpreting the writing on the wall and let me get this question wrong. I'll never forget picking up a phone call from my dad. I was sitting alone in a resident room on my internal medicine rotation. He had been diagnosed with ALS with a short prognosis of time remaining. This time there was no cure. There was no hope for a good medical outcome, just an unbearable task of walking my father, my mentor, and my friend toward the end of his life. But in the months that followed, something beautiful emerged, as hope is oft born when all is forlorn. The inevitability of a diagnosis like ALS incentivized many people from my father's past at various stages, medical school, high school, residency, his career, to come forward and share the extent to which my father's intentional love had left a mark on them. In those moments, I came to realize that a legacy of intentional love would be infinitely more meaningful than any accolade the field of medicine could offer. I can't thank him enough for teaching me that lesson. My mother is sitting here today. Mom, watching your courage as you walk Dad through his progression of that battle as a nurse and also as his wife made it clear that you are truly a heroine. And though tomorrow I'm not becoming the owner of a zoo like 10-year-old me promised you I would be, I'm honored to carry on the legacy of compassionate healthcare service that you and Dad left for me. The most interesting protagonists in literature are far from perfect. Like us, they are all flawed. They fear what's to come at times. And with a bit of fear in my voice, on the last outing that I had with my father, that his health would permit, I asked him a question. I said, Dad, if you knew you'd have to retire from medicine early after having gone through all those years of training, would you have done it? He pondered for a second and said yes, continuing, don't be afraid of opposition, my boy. I would not trade a single day of challenge in my life. I'm convinced that problems are blessings with promise. Lean into adversity. It's worth the struggle to leave your loving mark on the world. So as I stand before you all today, I'm in awe of the collective potential that we have as a class to do good in this world. Whatever story it is that you write in your medical career, in your home life, don't forget to bring yourself to the table for your patients and be intentional about leaving a mark of love on those around you. My hope is that this approach will help you, the protagonist of your story, leave a legacy of love, as the ones who love us never really leave us. Thank you.